What's up, y'all, and welcome back. Now, I know it's been some time since I posted a lesson, so I hope you've been really getting into everything that we've done before. Now, in this lesson, we're going to be learning more about different beats or grooves that we can play when we're playing 16th notes with our right hand. Those are also just called 16th note grooves because you're keeping 16th notes going, okay? So grab your sticks. Now, don't be afraid. I've changed up my snare drum a little bit. I have it back in the magazine because I don't know what happened to the folder I was using. But whatever, right? We don't have any drums. We don't have to worry about it. Just get something that kind of has some slap so it sounds like a snare drum. Okay, now to refresh your memory, let's just go over what we did last lesson really briefly, okay? We talked about 16th note grooves or beats. Groove and beat really means the same thing, okay? So we're gonna be playing 16th notes with our right hand. If you're a lefty, left hand, just flip it. And we're gonna be counting 16th notes, okay? Now everything that we play today, I want you to practice counting 16th notes with and also counting 8th notes. So that goes for everything that we play. And we're not gonna play any beat too fast, all right? That's another thing you should really keep in mind. So let's just play our basic rock groove with 16th notes on the right hand, okay? Now, remember, 16th notes, the way you count them is 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. That's how you do it. Those are 16th notes. There are 16 notes in one measure of 4, okay? So let's just get that beat going, just so to review a little bit. Here we go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that beat and we're going to move the bass drum, our right foot, around. Now remember, you're just playing your bass drum by stomping your foot. You're lifting up your leg and bringing it down. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to create 8th note combinations with our right foot or bass drum. What that means is we're just going to be playing on every 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Even though we're counting 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a over here, and we're playing that over here, there's still a 1 E and a 2 E and. So the 8th notes that we're going to be playing are still in there. You see how that works? So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my bass drum on 1 and on 3 and. Now you see how this helps? The fact that we're counting, we can say, all right, I'm going to play my bass drum on these different notes and I know exactly where they are because I'm counting every single one. That's how it works. So let's get this going. Again, I'm going to stay at that nice low tempo. I'm going to count 16th notes and play 16th notes over here, but I'm going to be playing 1 and then 3 and, so that's a total of 4 8th notes with my right foot. Now, to demonstrate this a little better, I'll start the beat by simply playing my right foot and my left hand. Ready? 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. Add the right. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. See how easy that is? I mean, it may not be easy for you at first, but if you count it and you go slow, you should be able to figure it out. And remember, you can always break it down by playing 1 limb at a time and then just doing 2 limbs until you get it, because the issue here is with coordination. So what we want to do when you get that comfortable, play the same thing except speed it up. 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. Now remember, everything we do today You also want to do counting eighth notes. That way you can grasp the relationship between eighth notes and sixteenths. So, a refresher, the way when we play 16th notes, right? 1 E and 2 E and if you want to count along if you want to count eighth notes with these, you're counting half as fast. You're only counting the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So it's like this. 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and, see how that works? And 1 E and, now I'm counting 16th notes. 3 E and 4 E and eighths and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Not only will this allow you to understand the relationship between notes, but it will allow you to go faster. Because when you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, that's a heck of a lot easier to get out to count when you're playing fast, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I just played the same beat I showed you, except I was counting eighth notes, but playing the exact same thing. So, what you want to do is experiment with putting your right foot on any of the different 8 eighth notes, right? We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let me just think of a beat. I'm not going to go through every single combination. That'll waste my time, it'll waste your time. But let's think of another beat we can play. Let's do, let's see here. 1 and, I'll stick with 1 and then I'll play on the and of 2, the and of 3, and the and of 4. So it's going to be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. That's the rhythm I'm going to play with my right foot. But remember, we got to do that while we're playing 16th notes over here and 2 and 4 with our left hand over here. So again, to get that going, let's just start with our hands, then we'll add the foot. You could do it the opposite too. You can start with the foot if you want, but let's start with the hands for now, okay? 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E. Now remember the rhythm, here I go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. I know I missed a note in there. It's not the biggest deal, but I just want to say that because I know I missed it. Now, you have 8 eighth notes. You can experiment, put the bass drum wherever you want. It's important to sometimes put it on 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's pretty tricky, remember, because we're lining everything up. When you play the bass drum on 1, 2, 3, 4, your other hands are playing on those notes as well. So come up with your own combinations. That's up to you. Now we're going to do the same thing. I'm kind of switching gears here, but I'm going to be playing, now I'm going to be playing different 16th note combinations with my right foot. Okay? How many 16th notes do we have per measure? 16. Exactly. So we have 16 different places we can play the bass drum. We could, I mean, if we wanted to play all 16, we could play our bass drum along with our right hand, right? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that's kind of good practice, but it's not the most interesting groove. So let's start maybe by playing. And again, we have so many different combinations here. You really want to just practice maybe each different 16th note, right? So since we have, 1 E, you might want to just play the E of 1. So that beat would sound like this. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and that's kind of tricky actually. 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. Okay? So, but that's kind of not the most interesting groove. Let's play, I'm going to play 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that's the rhythm I'm going to play with my bass drum. Now it's important that you keep the rhythm the same every measure. There are certain points when you get more advanced that you want to switch it up a little bit, but for now it's all about repetition. So come up with a groove, stick with it, don't change it every 4 beats or every measure. So we're going to play that groove I was just tapping out for you. The 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and ready? I'll start with just the bass drum here. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and now add your snare. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. Now hi-hat. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1. So you get the gist. Let's do one more, except this time I'm going to count eighth notes, because remember, every groove you play, do it counting 16th notes for a while. You can do it slow, then do it faster, and then count eighth notes but play the exact same thing you were just playing. That's really important. And you're going to find that as you go along, your beats are going to sound so much better because you're just counting, you're understanding the relationship. And the more notes, the more 16th notes you're familiar with, you're comfortable with putting your bass drum on every 1E and you're going to sound that much better. Just watch, all right? So one more beat. Let's do a classic beat here that you hear in multiple different rock songs, okay? It's going to be 1 and, or 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 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 1E and 2 and 3E and 4. And I said, you know what? I said before that I was going to count eighth notes, so let me do that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. Be sure that when you do these exercises, counting 16th notes and then counting eighths, make sure you do the 16th notes first, because that'll give you a grasp of where the bass drum falls. Okay, so I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about. There's so many different combinations. I mean, if you want to just go 1E, 2E, 3E, 4E with your bass drum, that's kind of a good exercise because you practice playing on every quarter note, every 1, 2, 3, 4 with your bass drum, which, as we learn with the basic rock beat, is kind of hard because you got to line up, right? You got to line up on every 2 and a 4 with everything, right? 1E and 2E. So have fun with it. Remember, count both ways. I know I say that all the time, and it's just so important. You really got to do it that way. Again, follow these methods. You will become a really good drummer without any drums. That's incredible. Now, stay tuned. I'm going to do another lesson right now. We're going to explore the beginnings of what it means to play a drum fill. Thanks for tuning in.